Hey guys, it's time to catch up with some overdue reviews. So I'm going to talk about 3 movies that I saw recently. I do have a 4th one, but I'm going to do that on its own. But these 3, I'm just going to put them all together in one video because it's been a while since I saw them. I said recently, not super recently. You might still be able to find these in theaters. You might have to go to the bargain theater. And I cannot explain why I didn't get right on the stick with doing the reviews. Maybe I was out of town right away, right after. Maybe I was waiting to see if my sister would go see the movie again with me so that we can review it together. For whatever reason, these movies I did not get to, even though I saw them pretty close to when they came out. I didn't get to review them right away, so I'm doing it now. Number 1 is going to be The Incredibles 2. And before I start, I do want to say to my fellow Disney fans, obviously I do a show called Disney by Moonlight with my sister. And for those of us who are into it, The Incredibles are the first in a long time for Disney's McDonald's Happy Meals. Disney used to do a lot of Happy Meals. If you know anything about Happy Meals, they had a deal with McDonald's. They put out some amazing toys, and then some not so good ones too. And they put some out for a while with Burger King also, but the main thing was with McDonald's. And then they decided, McDonald's, your food's not healthy. We don't really want this reputation. They went away. They just went back to McDonald's. McDonald's met some standards that Disney set, and now they have a deal again. So, Incredibles toys in the Happy Meals. And you can still get these. It might be the last week, or it might be 2 more weeks. I don't know. There are 10 toys. I have a few of them. I wouldn't mind getting the whole set. To be honest with you, I was kind of not getting Happy Meal toys anymore, partly because there were no Disney ones, but also just because I was trying to get away from that because I prefer larger toys or things that are more detailed and stuff, and I had amassed so many, Happy Meal toys, plus not really a great addition to your diet, so I had kind of gotten away from them. And then when this happened, I think I just got excited about the fact that there are new Disney Happy Meal toys. So I fell for it and I went out and I got some. And I know they're going to do Wreck-It Ralph, which I don't think that movie comes out for a while. Not 100% sure. But we are expecting Wreck-It Ralph Happy Meal toys too. So we'll see how those are. But anyway, it's kind of cool that Disney's back in the Happy Meals, but I gotta show some restraint with that. But anyway, as for the movie, The Incredibles 2, this movie doesn't need my help. It was a huge hit. People waited a long time for a sequel to this. They made sequels to other Pixar films, and it's like everybody was like, "Why aren't you making an Incredibles sequel? That movie was perfect for sequels. It's a superhero movie. You can do as many of those as you want." So they finally did, and it was awesome. A lot of people are saying, well, the first one's still better, but this one was really cool. And I guess I kind of agree with that. I think that it's there's always an edge for the first film in a series because it's got that originality factor. As far as, the sequels, though, the sequels don't have to deal with all the introductions and everything, or how does this work, and how does this universe work and everything. So you have that edge too. This one was really good at picking up right where the first one left off. Another great story. Some people thought it was kind of predictable. I didn't. I mean, you could kind of see where it was going, but at the same time, I didn't find it too predictable, because I was kind of not sure if they were going to take that route, and then which characters were going to do the thing you expect, because there were a couple of possibilities. I just found it very interesting. I don't want to do spoilers, even though you've probably all seen it, but I thought it was good. I thought it was a very good sequel. I thought it was interesting the way they kind of. I want to say they focused more on Helen Parr this time. What I should say is they focused more on her as a superhero, whereas in the first film it seemed to focus more on the dad, on Mr. Incredible. By the way, does anyone else do this? When I refer to these characters, I refer to Helen as Mrs. Incredible. I refer to Violet as Incredigirl, and Dash as Incrediboy. And then, of course, Incredibaby, Jack, because they can't be going by their real names. I mean, yeah, Dash sounds like a superhero name, but it's his real name. He can't use it. Violet can't use that name. Everybody's gonna know. But anyway, I they're still calling Helen Elastigirl, and I don't know. But I think they should call them Mrs. Incredible and all that stuff. But anyway. I just thought it was great. It's another gorgeous Pixar movie. They have that I want to say early 60s vibe. It looks like Disney 60s style. Maybe it's 50s. I don't know, somewhere around there. I think it's more 60s, I think. But anyway, it's very cool style, and it keeps it from the first film. Great characters. You got new characters. A lot of fun. The stuff with Jack. You know what? The first time around, I was not the biggest fan of Edna Mode. I had a lot more fun with Edna Mode this time. She was a lot funnier to me this time. In the first, I think people embraced her way too. I thought she was overrated. This time around, I thought she was hilarious. I thought her and Jack, all that stuff was just so funny. And Jack is really funny. He's always funny. Dash was super funny, and I love Violet. I've always loved Violet. They had a great thing going with the dad. He was sort of at home taking care of the kids in the house and not being good at it. And it was a very kind of a Mr. Mom thing. And they had some references to Poltergeist with him that I thought were really neat. They weren't blatant references, but it was kind of this is very Poltergeisty. Like the motel where they're staying in the motel. That was the first thing that I noticed, and I was like, that reminded me of Poltergeist. And then, of course, the stuff with Jack floating around and acting like he was in another dimension at certain parts. Good stuff. A lot of fun. If you love the first Incredibles, you should love this one. Amazing movie. So, 2 thumbs up. Highly recommend that. Definitely going to buy it when it comes out. So let me talk about something else. I'm going to talk about one really briefly. And that is what is it? It's, hang on a sec. It is Deadpool. Deadpool 2. I saw Deadpool 2. A riot. I thought it was hilarious. They did a thing. Okay, spoiler alert. He's got his girlfriend from the first movie. They kill her off early in the film, but that was kind of the joke. I mean, some people are like, I hate it when they do that, but that was kind of the joke. The whole movie, it's like that's his Batman thing, or he's got to and it was sort of a parallel to this other character who was out for revenge for his family, which was a Cable. He had come back in time. He was very Terminator. He had come back in time. He was trying to stop this kid. It was very Terminator story. He was trying to stop this kid from becoming this mutant that is just a serial killer and causes his family's death in the future. And Deadpool has to save the kid, and Deadpool forms this team. It's just hilarious what happens to the team, and they pay off in the end by of course it involves time travel. So in the end, of course, Deadpool goes and brings his girlfriend back to life and everything. Hilarious. I love the Deadpool movies. If I was to compare it to the first one, I don't know. I don't even think you should, because they're both excellent. It's not really. It's very difficult to compare an origin story of a superhero to a sequel. If they're both great, You know, because the origin story has that there, you know, it's the basic idea of like how he became this person, and then this one is a full on beginning to end story where he's already the character. I don't think it's great to compare that stuff. They were both excellent. It's kind of apples and oranges, even if it's similar, very similar in tone. So they kept up the quality, in my opinion. They kept up the quality. They kept up the jokes. There's some really funny stuff. That Winnie the Pooh bit is gonna be around forever. It was so funny. Again, I would be making more like detailed references, but I saw this like back when it came out, like probably the weekend it came out. Why I didn't immediately make a review, I don't know. But you know, you get busy, and honestly, my reviews, even when they're timely, are not my most popular videos, so I don't prioritize them as much, unless like my sister goes with me, because it's a little bit easier and more fun to review something with another person. But yeah, I loved it. I love Deadpool 2. I cannot wait for that release. Pick up that 4K on both of those. Incredibles 2 and Deadpool 2. Great sequels. We have totally contradicted that whole idea for so long that people were saying you can't have good sequels, you know. I'm not saying they're superior to the originals, but they're pretty close to just as good, you know. If they're not just as good. Which again is very hard to say that on superhero films. But okay, so one more movie I want to talk about, and I might talk about this a little bit more thoroughly, and this is Ready Player One. And this one I think is already coming out, you know, on DVD, on Blu-ray and stuff, so you know, maybe you can use this review for that. Whether or not to buy this one. Okay, you know, here's how I'm going to start this. When I first saw the trailers for this one, I was pretty unsure about it. It looked like a lot of sci-fi movies today with like excessive CGI and a story that was very like, it looked like something like all this Maze Runner stuff and all these movies that I've never seen that are like kind of trying to do the Harry Potter thing where they make a series, Twilight and Harry Potter. Let's make a film series that goes on for many movies, that is from like young adult books that is usually kind of shallow, but some of them are fun. Don't get me wrong. Harry Potter is excellent. I love Harry Potter. But it's like there's so many that feel like they're trying to be that. I mean, this is more like Hunger Games or that Maze Runner stuff or whatever it is. I might not be thinking of the right one. What's the one where it's that girl from Secret Life of an American Teenager? You know what I'm talking about. You know, but yeah, very or maybe more Hunger Games. It's a dystopian future thing, and actually having seen the movie, I don't know. I don't know if this is intended to be like have like a bunch of sequels. I don't know if there's only one book or if it is a series of books. I don't really know. Some of these movies besides Harry Potter I have liked. I did really like the Mrs. Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children. I really hope we get a sequel to that one. I really do. I was really disappointed that we didn't get a sequel to Vampire's Assistant. I didn't really love the evil kid in that one, who ended up being in Hunger Games, but I still really liked that movie. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get a sequel to that, but you know, still when you watch that stuff, you feel like okay, this is trying to be the next Harry Potter or the next Hunger Games or the next. Anyway, but so I got that from the trailer for this one, and in addition to that, it had CGI characters that I did not like the looks of. They reminded me of, they were very Uncanny Valley CGI characters, you know what I mean? And I'm not an anti-CGI person at all, but there's a certain look that I don't like, and that's what we had here. So I was skeptical. I was very skeptical, and everybody was saying, okay, this is the big Spielberg. I don't know if Spielberg directed this one. I guess maybe he did. Everybody was saying this was like the return of Spielberg's, like, you know, sci-fi masterpieces and stuff. So I went to see it reluctantly, kind of, but everybody was saying how good it was. And I went to see it kind of late. That's not one that I saw right when it came out. It was a few weeks in. I was kind of debating about, should I see that? Should I see Isle of Dogs? Because I thought Isle of Dogs looked super pretentious. And I didn't end up seeing Isle of Dogs. I don't know how much I like that director. But I don't know if I've seen any of his films, actually. They all look so pretentious to me. But and I love animated films and everything, but this is off topic. But I didn't end up seeing that one. I'll see it, you know, I don't know, Netflix or wherever it ends up. Someday I'll see that one. I'll probably blind buy it or something. But I did go see Ready Player One. And I'll tell you, I was really pleasantly surprised with Ready Player One. It didn't save the CGI for me. I hated the way the characters looked when they were CGI characters. I really did. It's such a generic look. It's such a generic, cool, I'm a cool, and I think that was kind of the idea. Well, the idea was that they were trying to look cooler than they were in real life. But I don't think the idea was to look as generic as they did. It was super generic characters, the guy and the girl, and the actress. I love that actress. She was on Bates Motel, and I adore her on Bates Motel. I haven't liked her in too much else that I've seen her in, but I haven't seen her in too much else. But like when I've seen trailers and stuff, they haven't really appealed to me much. I'm glad that she's getting like big screen work. Maybe she has been for a long time, but for me, she's the Bates Motel girl, the little sick girl from Bates Motel. She had the oxygen tank that she would carry around, but I adored her on that. But that was Olivia Cook. I want to say her name was Olivia Cook. It's something Cook. I think it's Olivia Cook. But anyway, she was great, but again, her CGI character, did not like it. But anyway, so a bit about the plot if you haven't seen it. These teenagers live in the future. It's a dystopian future, and they basically spend all their time in virtual reality. There's like it's like multiplayer world in virtual reality that is so much better than the crappy like real world, where they live in these stacked like slums. And so they spend all their time there, and you know, they in this world, which is like totally almost real, they have their own like places, their apartments, and their collectibles and everything, and you know, it's all digital, you know. But it's like amazing stuff, like and so much of the movie is the eye candy, the nostalgic eye candy, and just picking out things like, oh, there's this and that. They have there's one scene where I don't know if too many people will recognize it, but it's the box from the movie Gremlins that the Mogwai comes in, that Gizmo arrives in. I'm a huge Gremlins fan, so that was like really cool for me. But there's all kinds of stuff. But there's something big lacking in this. Because this movie is not associated with Disney in any way, you have no Disney characters, you have no Star Wars characters, you have no Marvel characters. I think I saw like a Kermit the Frog doll, and I was like, I don't know how you got that in there. Because, you know, otherwise there's no Muppets, there's no huge chunk of pop culture. Imagine now that they own Fox, there wouldn't be any, I don't know if there was any of that stuff in there anyway, but huge chunks of pop culture are not in there. And it was about how this is a digital world that is obsessed with pop culture, which is a lot like the world that exists today, mainly because of my generation. has grown up and we're obsessed with it because we're the generation that grew up with it. The previous generations don't understand, but like my generation and a few before me, just barely, and like all the generations after, we all grew up with toys, video games, cartoons, anime, really good movies, sci-fi, fantasy, from like all, the beginning all the way to now, but especially that great 1980s fantasy stuff. And just all that stuff, we grew up with it. So, and we love it, and we're bringing it back, and like generations before who don't get it and think it's like childish and all that, it's just because it wasn't your childhood. You probably relive a lot of stuff from your childhood, but there wasn't much, But anyway, so this movie is a big celebration of that. The man who created this digital world, he's obsessed. He was obsessed with all this like pop culture stuff, especially from the 80s. And so all the and all the young people are like obsessed with his obsessions in this digital world, and it's so much a celebration of all that stuff. But plot-wise, and it's very much like I said this. When I was watching it, I was like, this is like the third Tron movie that we never got. in a way, if you really think about it, it takes place in this digital world, and it's sort of like a next step thing. It is a lot like getting a third Tron movie, I think, but less abstract, because Tron is more abstract, of course. It's a lot of neon and just really abstract stuff. But in a lot of ways, it feels like another Tron movie. In story, kind of. But anyway, so they're on this like mission to you know what? I also related it to another movie when I first saw it, and I can't think of what it was, and that was more of a critical thing, where I was it was kind of a bit of a negative, but I can't remember that now. So lucky you, movie. I can't remember this critical thing I had about you, but there's a contest because the creator of this digital world died, and he has left this game in place with these like various trophies you have to get, and it leads you to, it's kind of a riddle, kind of a puzzle to some ultimate prize, which is you get ownership of this entire digital world, so you become like the richest guy on the planet and the most powerful person on the planet, and so the main character is trying to win this prize, and a handful of other people, and they're trying to win it so that this evil like big corporation doesn't win. And maybe the filmmakers were trying to make that corporation like Disney, I don't know, because there's no Disney stuff in there. And there's usually a rivalry with like Disney and I assume this is like Universal or something, because they got like all the Back to the Future stuff and everything. I mean, there's like the Back to the Future car and all that stuff. You've seen all that in the trailer, Iron Giant and all that stuff. But I have to say, it was a much more exciting and fun and really cool movie. There's this whole sequence where they have to go into the movie The Shining, and that was really cool. It was a really fascinating, creative movie, and I was not expecting that. I was expecting it to be so generic sci-fi, and I was kind of at a loss for why people were so excited for it. Maybe they had read the book, I don't know. But I was really pleasantly surprised. I don't like the Uncanny Valley CGI characters that were their avatars in this world. I don't feel like the film has the magic of classic Spielberg stuff, but I think it's still a really fascinating movie, and it has some really beautiful, smart stuff in it. It's been a while since I watched it. I know I'm sure I might have had a little bit more like to criticize also, but overall it was a really great movie, and I do recommend it. And I'm sure I'll buy this one too, because I did really enjoy it. And you can just enjoy this movie just sitting there picking out all the pop culture stuff. But it's still a good story besides that, and that's really awesome. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. And that's it, guys. I wanted to finally get around to talking about those 3 movies. I'm sure I forgot things I wanted to say. As much as I loved Incredibles 2 and saw that the most recently, and as much as I loved Deadpool 2, it's been a while since I've watched even both of them, really. So my memory is not super sharp about it. And I'm sure I forgot things about Ready Player One, but I remember more about it just because it was really pretty interesting. Surprised me, you know. I was expecting the other 2 to be awesome, and they were. Ready Player One kind of surprised me. So yeah, and that's about it, guys. I know I was going to say other stuff about Ready Player One. I just can't remember it, but I do recommend them all. And so I'm going to turn this off, and hopefully I have enough battery power left to talk about Solo. Okay, I'll see you guys later.